My name is Robert Masla. I'm a painter. I call my work spirit realism. It's a name I coined back in the 70s. It has to do with my approach to life as much about my painting. I've been painting my whole life. I began when I was 11 or so in the studio of my mentor, Alton S. Tobey, who's a 20th century realist master. And I did my first plein air painting when I was with Tobey. One time he took a group of us outdoors to paint. And that's what plein air painting is, and it informs a lot of my painting. A lot of it is landscape oriented. So I'll go in nature and I'll work in plein air, painting in nature. And I do that differently each time I go. Sometimes I'll do what I would call quick studies that are under 3 hours, such as this little painting here, where birch meets sky is what I called it. And I was just walking out of my studio, which is up in Ashfield, Massachusetts, my studio north. I also have a studio south in a little fishing village in Mexico. But this one is surrounded by forests. And I looked up and there was these beautiful cloud formations happening, coming right over the tops of the birch trees. And I said, wow, the energy of that just hit me, and I grabbed my easel and I put it down, and 2 hours later, this painting is there. Now that's not always the case. Sometimes, something will hit me about the energy of a spot, and unlike a lot of plein air painters who are much more interested in a very general information, I see a lot of detail, and I will sometimes actually paint a lot of detail. So some of the canvases are done that way. Others are started in plein air and then finished in the studio because it's just impossible to complete them, such as the painting of Niagara. It was one of the most challenging places I ever painted because the spray was just literally hitting me in the face, and I had to hold the canvas down with one hand while I mixed colors and painted with the other. And I painted that one, probably 90% of it was done in plein air. And just, I came back to the studio and maybe put 1 or 2 little glazes, patches here and there, just to finish it off. So it really depends. I'd never paint the same way twice. I allowed the mood that hits me as well as subject matter to dictate the way I paint. I'll set up my palette differently. My approach to how I lay the color on will be differently. There's no right or wrong way to do this. There's my way and your way, and I always tell my students there's only one rule to painting, and that's there are no rules.